Good morning. Welcome to Daylight with Dean, number 41 on May 22nd, 2020. Wow, it's been 41 days that we've been sharing together. If we were Noah, it would have stopped raining. If we were Jesus, we would have done being tempted in the wilderness. Wow, 40 days was yesterday. 41 today, we're through. I want to thank you so much for joining here with me and for the hundreds of you that are watching every day. I want to thank you for that. Some of you have asked how long we're going to go on doing this. And as long as I can keep getting my coffee in the morning, first sip. Thank you for indulging me. We'll keep going. So you may notice over my left shoulder, our Talonica bread from Delello's is diminishing. I came in late last night and it was just looked like a hunk of cheese instead of a loaf of bread. It had been whittled down. I guess my kids might have discovered the joy of this bread. I would have a whole nother loaf to enjoy, but my wife gave it to my daughter. Not bitter, just saying another trip to Greensburg to Delello's is on the docket. You know, as we are moving into the different phases of, from red to yellow to green in our in the stay-at-home order being lifted and all that, we're all still kind of figuring out what it looks like, what it means. And I know that all of you have your own opinions and own thoughts on that. I think some assumptions have been made about this time that it's going to end whenever life gets back to normal. And I don't really see that being the case until my wife tells me, you got to stop, which, yeah, I doubt is going to happen. And until I kind of sense we're done, I'm going to keep going. I don't know about you, but I've been enjoying this time quite a bit, immensely. It's meant a lot to me to be able to connect with so many of you. Your comments, the interactions we've been having have just meant a great deal to me. I'm very thrilled technology-wise that I have figured the sound out and haven't had an issue. Knock on wood. I don't see any wood, but knock on wood, for several weeks now. And so I'm planning on keeping going. So I went back and looked at, I didn't watch them all, I looked at all 40 of them that have been posted to my Facebook, and I was just curious, how many of you have seen all 40 of the Daylight with Deans? I know that if you can't catch them early in the morning, sometimes you catch them later in the day. I'd like to hear from you. If you've caught all 40 of these, I'd like to hear from you. And if you haven't, feel free to go back and catch the ones you missed. You can go on my Facebook page, and they're quite frequent because I don't post a whole bunch of other stuff, and catch any that you missed. And I'd like to hear from you, kind of two questions, if you process through this. And you can either direct message me, private message me on Facebook. You can answer these questions in the comments. If you have my number, you can text me or even call me. But I'd like to know, why do you watch? Why do you take time out of your day, 10, 15 minutes. I think one time when I was talking about joy, I went for 22 minutes. I was on a roll, baby. I was so pumped. Why do you watch? What is it about this time that's helpful, that's a blessing? I'd love to hear from you on that. Secondly, I'd like to hear what you'd like me to speak into. I'd like to hear kind of what you would like me to address, me to talk about. Doesn't mean I will, but I'd just like to pick your brains a little bit. The past few weeks, I've been talking about what I'm going to be preaching about that Sunday, kind of leading up to it. 2 weeks ago, I was preaching on joy, and so I had a whole week of joy talk, and I hope your joy level is full today. Last week, I was preaching on prayer and just had a great time camping out on prayer for a while and processing through that. This week, I'm preaching on the Psalms and the themes in the Psalms of death and life, and decided just to kind of hold that information for the sermon instead of processing through it with you out loud all week long. So I'd love to hear from you, what you would be interested in processing through. And one of the things that I'm very careful about is I live my life kind of as a marathon. I don't like to sprint. I don't like to, just chase after the next thing really quick and accomplish that and then move on and what's next. I'm a little more slow and steady like that. And so, I'm very careful to make sure that what I agree to do works for me, fits into the flow of my life. And for whatever quirky reason, this time at 5:56 this morning, 5:56 a.m., this time is really working for me. Until my kids got their summer day jobs last week, it was alone time in the kitchen. Now that they're getting up to go to work at 6:30 a.m., it involves a little bit more hubbub and getting their breakfast ready, getting lunch ready, and all of that. So I'm so grateful that there's activity in my house. So I say all that to just ask, are there things in your life that you are doing that you have to do or you feel like you have to do that are not at a sustainable pace? When we first started recording our services and streaming them online, our campus pastor, Mark Helsel, was doing all of the editing for both campuses, all of putting it all together, packaging it. He did that for 3 weeks, and it was killing him. It was not a sustainable pace. And so we threw the ask out there to our church, to our board, put together a technology team. One of our board members loves to do video editing, had done it quite a bit in his IT job, and he's an amazing editor on Final Cut. And he offloaded all of that work for Mark, and now we're doing that at our campus, and it's a blast for him. It's a blast for me. And my point is, when things are flowing right, when you're doing life in a way that is sustainable, it can replenish you, it can encourage you, it can help you on many ways, and it doesn't have to be so hard. I have a very strong conviction that God has wired each of us up specifically how he wants us to be, and that when we find our calling and pursue our calling and passion, that when we go to work, when we do our job, when we do what we're called to do, it's fulfilling, it's rewarding, it's doable for the long haul. Now, sometimes we hit crises, we hit situations in our family, things that we have to jump in and do, and it's not sustainable, but we still have to do it. It's not easy, but we still have to do it. And we do that with joy and grace. But do you do your life, generally speaking, in a way that's sustainable? Or do you feel like you're constantly burning the candle at both ends? Do you feel sometimes like you're a cat chasing your tail? I can't think of any other metaphors that... A dog, sorry, my wife told me it was a dog chasing my own tail. I love when my house is busy in the morning. Whenever you feel like you're burning the candle at both ends, we all have those periods of time for a short period of time. But when we live our life that way forever, it becomes damaging to our souls. And so I want to invite you, pay attention to your soul. Care for your soul. Be good to you. Because life is given to be enjoyed. Life is given to be lived to the fullest. And life in all of its fullness does not mean 100 miles an hour for 100 years in a row. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. And I can't wait till I get to see you again for Daylight with Dean on Saturday, which is number 42, which I believe is 6 weeks. Good deal. Great to be with you guys. Have a great day.